The risks of retiring into a bear market. All right, so this is a big deal, and I think a lot of people overlook this, and I want you not to. So we're going to use Diane's sample here. All right, so we got old Diane sample, and we're going to show you what's going on. She is 60 years old today. All right, the big 60, just turned 60. She's got $500,000 in her portfolio. That portfolio is invested in a moderate account, which is a 60-40 portfolio. All right, and we're going to just assume a 6.4% rate of return with a 10% standard deviation. All right, so that means on any given year, she could be down 24%. That's what that means, with a 99.8% probability of the inputs we put in. All right, we don't know what the future holds, but this is about as best we can do. You say, look, this is what we expect to happen, a 6% annual rate of return. However, a volatility around that negative 24 on the downside, it would be, what it would be on the upside, 36 on the upside. Is that right? Yeah, 36 on the upside. So we would think her portfolio would give us anywhere between 36 on the up and 24% on the down with a 99.8% probability. All right. So that's what we're assuming here. All right. And if we run that, we're saying, and she's going to need, we're going to say she needs, we're going to use the old 4% rule. We're going to need 20,000 a year. 20,000 on a $500,000 portfolio is 4%. And we're going to adjust that with inflation. We're going to inflate that, and my overall inflation here is about 3.25 or so. All right, so we're basically saying her expenses will increase each and every year by about 3.25, something like that. I can't remember. It's 3%. We'll see. And her she's taking 4% a year out on a portfolio that has 6.4% rate of return with a 10% standard deviation, roughly. What's her probability of success? And we're going to go down here, retirement. And we're going to say, ooh, only 76%. That's not what happened to the 4% rule. Yeah, the 4% rule is based on historical averages. We're not assuming historical averages. So you can see right here, she needs $20,000 roughly and some taxes to pay. The next year she needs, what, 3% more. Next year, 3% more. All right, so that's the question, is her portfolio going to be able to sustain this? And if we go back to analysis, all right, so check this out. We're going to show you her median right there. She was it 25% of the time she runs out of the money by the time she's 90. So that's a 30-year retirement. She's still pretty good, man. Like, give me a break. She's still pretty good. But 25% of the time she does run out of money. However, her median liquid net worth here is about $200,000. So that's how much she'll leave. 50% of the time she'll leave $200,000 more or more. 50% of the time she'll leave $200,000 or less. And 25% of the chance or 24% chance to be precise, she'll potentially run out of money if she doesn't make any adjustments. All right, so all that good, all that good. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at cash flow. And we're going to see after her first year, we're going to look at accounts. Her portfolio now, even though she had taken $20,000 out, 511. All right, so 511. That's how much she has in her portfolio. And remember what we just said, how much her portfolio could decline by. It could decline by 24%. So we're going to take our trusty calculator. We're going to do 511 minus 25%. And now she's got 383 in there, 383. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put her a year older, all right? We're going to have her, again, still living, instead of, we're going to make her 1965. And we'll still have her living 90 years until she's 90. So now she has 29 years left ahead of us. Oh, a year older, I should say. Excuse me, the other way around. Instead of 30 years ahead of us, she has 29 years left ahead of us. All right, because a year's behind us. But now her portfolio has dropped to, now I forgot what it said, 383. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change her portfolio to 383. All right, we're going to go blank 383. So what we're doing here is reducing the risk of her lifespan by 1 year. So she got 29 years left. She had 30 years before. Same portfolio rate of return, 6.4% with the same standard deviation. And we're reducing her portfolio to 383 because she got smoked last year. Not likely to happen, but it did happen in 2008 for sure. So now what does it look like here? All right, so let's take a look. Watch our retirement success. It's going to drop like a brick in water. And now we're down to 41%. Why? Well, because that 4% rule that she's still taking, she still needs $20,000, except now the portfolio is only worth 387. So now we say, what is the distribution on that? It's not 4% anymore, 387. Now it's a 5.16% rate of return, distribution amount. And yet she still kept this downside risk in here of a 30% downside with, well, actually be a 24% downside. So she still retained that risk. So the idea could be that now she's going to run out of money right there. 50% of the time she runs out of money when she's 88 years old. That's the risk of retiring into a down market. So don't forget, just because you're retired into a down market doesn't mean the market can't keep going down. Now, what generally happens is at some point the market stops going down and it goes back up. The software, though, any kind of Monte Carlo software, it just looks at what we're looking at in the future. It has no consideration what happened in the past, none whatsoever, other than the data you put in there, which is standard deviation and your average rate of your expected rate of return. And so you're getting that on past numbers for sure. But the Monte Carlo itself says, okay, you inputted this data, imputed, whatever. You input this data. This is what expectations are going forward. Would you want to reduce your standard deviation because last year we got smoked? It's not likely to happen again. Well, now you're cherry picking, in my opinion. Now you're saying, oh man, because we got smoked and standard deviation is not likely to happen again, so I'm going to decrease our standard deviation or increase our expected rate of return just because we had a down year. That's cherry picking, man. That's not very scientific at all. None of this is scientific, but it's just not. That's not good. You say, well, I think the markets will do better. I think the standard deviation will be lower. Thus, I'm going to change my numbers. Yeah, and you'll make yourself look better in terms of projections, but you can't, in my opinion, you can't do that. You got to keep the standard deviation. You can change your expected rate of return, but you got to say, why is our expected rate of return different than what it was previous? Well, because the market fell? Maybe, but that's still, what are you going to put at 9 from 6? I don't like that. Anyway, that's the risk of retiring into a bear market right there. So what's one of the ways we avoid that is we have the bucket system for sure to make sure that we're not selling in the down market. All right. Love your thoughts. God bless. Don't forget to drop kick or no, flying elbow. Jimmy Soup Fly Snook, a flying elbow the like button. We'll see you.